This is TWiT.
The Information is reporting that Snapchat is modeling the way that it wants to make money off of popular Asian mobile messaging companies like KakaoTalk and WeChat and Line. It reportedly wants to become a platform for other services like gaming or e-commerce. And the Information also reports that the company is in talks with Stripe to integrate mobile payments as well. Okay, so what do KakaoTalk and WeChat and Line all do? Well, they've introduced multiple internal and external services to their apps like games, e-commerce functions, peer-to-peer marketplaces, sort of like eBay, plus a gifting feature so you could send someone physical flowers on their birthday while you're actually chatting with them. Online banking features as well, even specific branding functions for advertisers. Users can pay to receive messages from celebrities, and clothing companies can chat with customers to help them figure out things like sizing. Speaking of Snapchat, the company has clarified in a blog post that there are third parties who have gained access to its API, but aren't supported by the company. Elise Hu and I talked about this issue yesterday on the show. Snapchat says that it doesn't have a public API because it takes time to create an open and trustworthy third-party ecosystem. And until it does that, it's working with both Apple and Google to take down third-party apps that aren't data secure in both of those companies' app stores. Snapchat says that giving any third-party app access allows a developer and possibly a criminal to access your account information and then send information on your behalf. It's a no-no. But that doesn't help me if I don't know who might be using a third-party app and receiving my media. So it's not really good enough. Seems like having a private API that is actually private would be a great idea for Snapchat. Ireland's government has announced that it will make changes to its business-friendly tax arrangements by closing a loophole used by quite a few multinational tech giants. In recent decades, Ireland has enjoyed a bit of economic growth and job strategy based on low corporate tax rates and other incentives that make foreign companies like Google and Apple and Microsoft and Abbott Laboratories want to do business there. The Irish government is phasing out what's known as the Double Irish Provision, which allows corporations with operations in Ireland to make royalty payments for intellectual property to a separate subsidiary that is Irish registered. Now, that subsidiary, even though it's incorporated in Ireland, usually has its home in a country that has no corporate income tax. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's just going to get harder for multinational tech giants in Ireland. Aereo, the streaming video service that lost its battle against TV broadcasters in the Supreme Court earlier this year, in this summer, in fact, is now looking for a longer-term victory in Congress. The Federal Communications Commission is deciding whether or not to extend regulations for satellite television providers, cable companies, and other multi-channel video providers, or MVPs, to Aereo and other linear online video distributors. In a meeting last week, Aereo told the FCC that it would be willing to accept these regulations. However, it gets messy. By accepting the label of MVP, Aereo would also need to start negotiating with broadcasters over content or retransmission fees, which is exactly what Aereo's original business model was supposed to get around and avoid. An anonymous Aereo official tells the Washington Post, quote, "This is a regulatory no man's land we're in right now. We need that regulatory clarity to move forward. This is not a good environment for any business to operate in without having a clear sense of what the rules are." I'll say. In your wearable tech corner of news for the day, let's talk about Fitbit. The company's original Force fitness tracker was a disaster. Yeah, skin reactions actually forced the company to issue a voluntary recall and abandon all sales of the product. Did not work out well, but it appears it's coming back. Gizmodo has obtained marketing materials that reveal a new Fitbit Charge, and then another model called the Charge HR that measures not only daily steps and distance traveled and burned calories and sleep quality and even some smartphone connected features like caller ID, but in the Charge HR's case, even adds heart rate monitoring that will continuously, if it works anyway, track your heart rate all day, every day, 24/7 through a new Pure Pulse system. It's worth noting that Fitbit hasn't officially announced either the Charge or the Charge HR yet, but hopefully they won't be burning anyone's arms. Apple and Facebook are both offering an interesting new perk for female employees. Both companies will pay for them to freeze their eggs. Egg freezing can allow women to put their fertility on hold for a number of years until they're ready to become parents. But it's also very expensive. Costs can add up to $10,000 for each session, plus an annual storage fee of $500. Apple covers costs under its fertility benefit, Facebook under its surrogacy benefit, both up to $20,000. And actually, women at Facebook are already taking advantage of the coverage, which started earlier this year. Now, as you can imagine, this is a controversial company perk. Some say it levels the playing field for women in an industry that's dominated by males. Others say it manipulates women into working rather than raising children, and that it's also not a guarantee of pregnancy later on. Well, we have a goodbye. Today, we want to say goodbye to Macworld, at least for the time being. IDG World Expo released a statement today that the Macworld/iWorld conference will not take place in 2015. It is going on hiatus. No show, at least for an undisclosed amount of time. The show was previously planned to take place next March, which is already a little odd instead of its usual January-February timeframe. Apple cut off its Macworld affiliation with the conference in 2009, and things just kind of slowly wound down. A few weeks ago, Macworld cut down its editorial staff to a bare minimum. Macworld's magazine also recently came to an end. The company's Mac IT enterprise-focused event will still exist in 2015, according to this announcement, but I think we can safely say it's the end of the Macworld era.